everybody, welcome back. So I'd like to deal with that sound, not the beeps and the boops and the musical tones, but the sound of the Holley fuel pump. And right now I have it mounted to the frame rail, and you may have seen from an earlier video of mine, I put in rivet nuts to mount it. And it's not mounted solid right now. Right now, I have some foam padding in it. And personally, I don't think it made any difference at all. But I'm going to take that foam padding out, mount it solid again, and we're going to come back in and run this test. But let's go inside and let's see what I have done. And but first, let's mount it solid again and listen to it mounted solid. See if there's any real difference. Not sure how well you're able to see this, but I have some foam mounted under here, and I just have 2 bolts holding it on. So I'm going to get these bolts out. I'm going to get the foam out. I'm going to put the bolts back in with it mounted solid, and we're going to do another test. I know if I get the camera up so the sun's not shining on it, it shows it a little better. So there you have it. Let me get the foam out, and I'll show you the foam, and I'll mount it solid. All right, here are the foam pieces that were in it. That's 1/4 inch thick foam. And as you can see, it's just smashed completely flat. Honestly, I don't think it was doing a damn thing. But also, hopefully, you can see we are now mounted solid with no foam at all. Let's go up and see if it got any louder. All right, mounted solid. So to my ear, there is no difference at all. So here is what I have printed. And here are a bunch of my test pieces I was just goofing around with. The blue is this no-name brand. There was a name brand on it when I bought it. I've had it for years. I've printed a bunch of stuff out of it. I printed the ladder feet for my Kraus ladder years ago, and they're still on it. I use that thing all the time. So it's held up really well. Where it doesn't hold up is when you don't make it solid. And then it's under constant load. It doesn't like to spring back. It stays in its new shape if it's left there long enough. I made a rubber bumper for my Jeep spare tire carrier to kind of try and take the vibration out of it, and it was under constant pressure, and when I took the pressure off of it, it stayed in that collapsed state. So that's a concern that I have for it. But I think where I live in Arizona, where it gets 115 degrees in the summer, I think that's just going to be a constant problem with no matter what material I use. Anyway, I designed this to do this with, and this is a piece that just has a projection out of it, and that projection is going to fit in the bracket, and then this piece has an inset in it that projection fits into, and that I think is going to isolate the bolt completely from, and I'll put a washer over the outside, but that's going to isolate the bolt completely from the frame and from the bracket. So I think that's where my sound deadening is mainly going to come from. Now this is solid, and you can see I can bend it, but when you print this 95 durometer material, it's very, very solid. It's still flexible. It's not like you've printed it out of PLA, but it's pretty darn solid. And I tried making this stuff out of this material with infill, with, instead of 100%, these are solid. I tried making it with, 50% infill, but in order to get any kind of flexibility out of it at all, I had to go down to like 15% infill, and I don't think that's going to turn out well. This black stuff is TPU I just bought, and it is Hello3D 85A filament. TPU, of course, and this is solid, and this is printed in a concentric manner, and I don't know, I tried both ways and just to see what was what, and as you could see, I had problems printing it at first, and the ones that didn't print really well are just stupidly flexible, but they're going to fall apart. once I got the printing issues figured out, and if you want me to go over how I figured out how to print 85A, let me know and I'll do it in another video. But this stuff is pretty solid. It's still way more flexible than the 95A solid, but it is still pretty darn solid. I printed 2 of each of them because I need 2 of each. And then this has 50% infill, and it is considerably less flexible. Less flexible, considerably more flexible. Telling you, I have gotten this stuff just easily mixed up, and I know you probably can't see it on the camera, but I can feel it. It is way easier to flex than this stuff. This stuff is like, I can't do that at all, hardly. So anyway, and I also bought some of these down from Lowe's. These are Hillman, and these are rubber. These are the exact same type of things I've got here with that projection, and these are just rubber, and they're softer yet. And these things are expensive. These are $6 a piece down at Lowe's. So if I get what I want out of these are going back, and I'm going to get my $12 back. And I also just bought some rubber flat washers because they don't have the opposite side with the inset like I made here. Anyway, that's what I've got. Let's go out, let's put them in, and let's see what we get. Let's start with the stiffest ones first, the blue ones, and we'll work our way down and we'll see what we get. Get everything out of the way. Okay, they are completely in. I had to make some minor modifications. I had to trim off the excess of this stud that holds the clamp around the body. And yes, there is rubber around the clamp of that body too. And I also had to make the slot in the bracket a little bit bigger so the projection from my new piece can go in and leave enough room for the bolt to go through. Otherwise, it was compressing enough the bolt wouldn't go through. And I tightened these down with a torque wrench to 50 inch-pounds. Now, I'm using an extension and adapter and a wobbly, so, you know, 50 inch-pounds, who knows what it really is. But I had to figure out some way to try to make it even. So there's a little bit of wiggle in it now, but it is tight. Let's go see if that made any difference to the sound level. All right, 95A durometer, TPU 3D printed rubber isolators underneath the Holley red fuel pump. Here we go. Let me get my all right, now here we go. Almost identical from what I can tell, what I can hear. I really still sounds loud to me. So let's try the harder of the two, 85A. Just so you can see what these look like going in. I say I did have to make those slots a little bit bigger, and you see that fits in right in there. The other one fits over it, the bolt goes through, so it should be completely isolated from it. So these are the hardest of the two, solid with 100% infill. 85A durometer, 100% infill. Isolators are all in place. Let's go up and see if it makes any difference. All right, 85A, 100% infill, 3D printed TPU rubber isolators. Here we go. They sounded the same to me. I'll have to watch the video with my headphones on and see if I really hear any difference. The decibel meter isn't really showing anything. So let's try the 50% infill ones. Okay, the 50% infill bushings are in place. I couldn't really get 50 inch-pounds on these because they kept squishing and squishing and squishing, and it was pretty obvious that that was not going to be a viable method. But I tightened them till they squished about, I don't know, half their distance, just to kind of get a kind of a baseline for it, and you can see how flexible that is at this point. Let's go up and try it and see. All right, here we go. 85A durometer TPU with 50% infill isolation bushings. Well, after going back and listening to that in a row, I edited it out so I could listen to all 4 different sounds in a row. And I got to tell you, it made a significant difference. Although when I was just after changing them, I couldn't really tell. But let's go ahead and put the rubber ones in anyway. I've already spent the money. Okay, the real rubber ones are in there now. There is quite a bit of, and once again, I just went based on feel by how much I was compressing it, tried to compress it about 50%. At some point in time, if I leave this like this, or with any of these in, I'll have to put blue Loctite on the bolts so they don't back out on me. But I'll probably need some 5/16 fender washers there, but I just don't have any right now. So let's get up there and let's see if the real rubber is any better than the 3D printed TPU. Okay, here we go. Real rubber bushings. They didn't really seem as good as the 3D printed ones with 50% infill, but I'm gonna have to put it together in one solid video so I can listen to one right after the next, and I can tell, and I will show that to you guys too, and then you can let me know in the comments which ones you think sounded the best. So there you go. It is quite obvious listening to the recording where I cut them all the pieces together that there is quite a bit of difference in sound, and the real rubber grommets down from Lowe's are no better than my 85A TPU printed bushings that are 50% infill. They are the same listening to them over the recording. Sitting inside the cab, you know, doing them 10 minutes apart, it just seems loud no matter what it is. So it's kind of odd in that regard. And it's also kind of odd where that sound is coming from. If the pump is completely mounted in rubber, I'm having to think it's coming through the fuel line, that the fuel line is against the body. And of course, this pump pulsates pretty hard. And it actually, you can feel it jerk the fuel line. So I'm guessing if I want to make it quieter, I'm going to have to isolate the fuel line from the frame and the body. Probably the body is where it's coming from. Anyway, I hope that was entertaining. At least I think I learned something, and that I think this 85A TPU is really pretty interesting stuff if your printer can print it. And it was a bit of a challenge, even on a direct drive printer, to get it to print nicely, but I did achieve it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.